Okay, match number one. We are on the play. All right, and we're going to have to get used to keeping hands like this. Nothing really particularly proactive going on, but still going to keep. I mean, one question I have right off the bat is, do we actually want Force Spire Bluff Canal in this deck? We're trying to hit land drops beyond number 3, so potentially we don't, but time will tell. Start with Attune the Narrative. All right. We'll get these Spire Bluffs out. We have 2 Surveil lands, so lots of opportunity to get value with our fetch lands. Looks like we're playing against a Jeskai control build. Hard to say who will be favored in the mirror. I think Scalding Tarn is fine here. Even if our opponent plays a 3-drop, we probably want to counterspell it and save the Force of Negation. Often it can be valuable to use Force of Negation for the free cost in these control matchups because they can become about overwhelming each other's mana. So, and actually, maybe I take that back because Invert Polarity is so juicy here. If we gain control of this Teferi, it's going to be absolutely devastating for the opponent. Okay, so in that case, I have regrets. I wish that I had not played the fetch. Tails never fails. All right, we lost the flip, so Tails apparently does sometimes fail. We had a chance to just straight up win the game there, though, so good stuff from Invert Polarity. We'll get down this Tamiyo. I don't really expect Tamiyo to be long for this world, and I don't really know if we should be fighting over it. But let's see how our opponent approaches this next turn, and we can kind of decide then. But there is an argument that fighting over it is reasonable. It immediately gets back a card, so we could fire off a counter spell here. Or just fire off the Force of Negation. They probably have their own counter spell or Aether Spike back. So we can either counterspell and then protect with Force Negation using all of our counters. That doesn't seem like the smartest move. They could just have more removal. I think, seeing as we have no source of card advantage or getting low on cards, I will use a counterspell, but I'm not sure I'm going to use the Force Negation back, so kind of just hoping that we get away with this, but we might not. Narset. I'm okay with Narset. We can bolt it, so they're going to get 1 impulse, but then we can cash in this Lightning Bolt and get that value back. And they actually just whiffed, it looks like, with Narset, so now we're even more okay with that. And Tamiyo is going to be getting in, attacking, get us some value. Okay, another Tamiyo is not bad. Let's go ahead and crack the clue now, just in case we found a land drop there. Now at this point, we won't be protecting Tamiyo from any removal because we drew another one. Jam another Tamiyo and send the turn back to our opponent. They have another discharge. Okay, that's fine. Does this Jeskai list play Invert Polarity? Is a question I have. It feels like a real mirror breaker. Give me that One Ring. Tails never fails. All right. The One Ring is ours. We'll draw. I guess maybe we need to be okay, they just go ahead and scoop. I was going to say, do we need to be concerned about actually being able to kill them. Our deck, when it steals a One Ring, doesn't have a ton of win cons, to be honest. So maybe that's something we need to keep in mind. Is there something we could do, like an Odawara, maybe? I guess the One Ring automatically flips Tamiyo, which then lets us start to plus towards an ultimate, so that could be the plan there. In this matchup, I think Dispute and Spell Pierce are no-brainers. They have red removal spells, so Magus doesn't seem so great. I mean, Magebane Lizard could be interesting. But it's probably not phenomenal either. I mean, what are we really interested in boarding out? Probably... Oh, they are going to play the Titans, so we probably want these Surgicals and, like, this Hearse. Or maybe just one Surgical. We can board out these guys. And maybe a Consign to Memory just hits the One Ring. So we're probably pretty happy with it. Okay, I feel pretty good about this in and out swap. Let's start with this. I did debate a little bit if Magus was better or worse than Harbinger. I don't really want to be playing a Mountain, but I am still willing to try Harbinger. Especially if like a lot of red removal spells end up being, you know, prominent in the metagame. Harbinger might just be a lot better at locking the opponent out, or at least forcing them to get a Mountain. Okay, this hand looks good to me. Our opponent mulligans to 6, so immediately a little bit of an advantage for us. I think let's just get this Tamiyo down immediately. If they have the discharge, they have it, but we're not really going to be picking any fights over the Tamiyo. So might as well just run it out and make them have it right away. They do have the discharge. This 1-2 punch of Invert Polarity and Flame of Anor, I'm sure is going to give a lot of opponents headaches, trying to figure out how they can play around those two cards. I am going to counterspell Narset here. I thought about not counterspelling it because we do have the Galvanic Discharge to clean it up, but it feels like overall, I mean, they're still getting a 2-for-1 there, and maybe the Discharge ends up trading with a Tamiyo later on, which is just a 1-for-1. Let's go ahead and draw 2. The Hearse is nice, but I think we might actually want to save it for when they actually play their Flage. That way we're not tipping them off about it, and I don't really think that eating the rest of the cards in their yard is that valuable. This could be wrong, though. That could be very wrong. I mean, my fear is they have like their own prismatic endings or something along those lines, and then our Hearse just ends up not achieving the job we, you know, set out to do with it, which is denying them Flage. Snapcaster Flame of Anor here. Scry 1 to the top. I assume it was a land. I guess should have cast Snapcaster first. If they went for a counterspell on our Snapcaster, we might have played things differently there. Interesting. Solitude. Wow. I'm kind of surprised Solitude is still in their deck. Okay, no problem. That's fine. We'll draw 2 with the Snapcaster, and then we can, like, Galvanic Discharge the Solitude. Alright, well now I think we can play the Hearse out. We're not really worried about life totals, so I'm just gonna go ahead and play this Hearse and pass. Willing to take a hit from Solitude in order to be most mana efficient. Maybe waiting on the Hearse was good because we could have had like Dispute plus Polarity up. Let's exile their spells, in case they also have Snapcaster Mage. And let's draw 2 cards. Subtlety seems pretty nice against their deck filled with Planeswalkers and potentially more Solitudes. Mostly Planeswalkers. Okay. That's fine. My new plan can just be to block with this Unlicensed Hearse after flashing in Subtlety. So I flash in this here. I have Dispute and Invert Polarity as backup. They have their own Subtlety. Let's try to steal that one too. Alright, so now we have 2 Subtleties. I actually think there's maybe a better option, Consign to Memory. Spell Pierce doesn't seem like our best draw here, with them having 6 lands now. Counterspell is much better. Alright. I'm ready to fire up this hearse and get to work. Narset. Well, I'm not drawing cards, so I think Narset can resolve, given that we have our opponent on such a short clock here. Consign this One Ring to memory. Alright, and our opponent scoops it up. We're gonna attack Narset, attack them, and then, you know, we were in really good shape there. Alright, I'll see you guys for the next match.